Hello everyone. So in previous session we have started with static web tables. We have also seen what is web table, static table, dynamic tables. What are the different tags which are present inside the web table tag. And we have seen the scenario to find out count of rows and columns. So if you see the previous session we have found out how many rows are there and how many columns are there inside this web table. In today's session we will see how to read a specific row data and column data, how to print all the data from the web cells, and condition based data fetching from table. From example, if let's say I want to find out all the employee names, whose office is in Tokyo. Now this is condition based data fetching. So we can do that. How to do that we can just see in some time. Now let's see the second scenario. Now I want to find out printing or finding out a specific column or specific row data. Now let's say I want to print office location of Cedric Kelly. I want to find out office location, that is Edinburgh, for Cedric Kelly. I want to print this value. If I want to print this value, how we can find it out is in which row it is present and in which column it is present. What is the row number? So if you exclude the first row, that is the table header row, we can exclude this. So Tiger Nixon is present in first row, this is present in second row, this is present in third row, and this is present in fourth row. If you see, it is present in fourth row. And what is the column? First column, second column, and third column. So it is present in the fourth row and third column. Fourth row, third column. Now depending on that, let's say how we can write the XPath for it. Now if you see in HTML code, this part or this XPath will find out the entire table. Inside this table, I will just go to tbody tag. If you see inside this table, entire actual test data, actual the value data or actual the data or from the web cell, actual data of the table, it is present inside the which tag? Tbody tag. And this tbody tag contains all the rows that contains that data. And that data is present inside the td tag. If you see, these values are present inside the td tag. These td tags are present inside the table row tag. And all this table row tag which contains the data are present inside which tag? Tbody. So after this XPath, if you see, I will just write the XPath like this. So tbody, it will find out all the values, all the TRs which contains the data. After tbody, I will just use tr tag. So if you see, it is highlighting or it is targeting to all the rows present inside this tbody. If you see, it is finding all the tbody tag, tr tags, all the rows, right? Now in which row we want to find out? So inside the tbody, so tbody tr starts from this one. So this is the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. We want to find out fourth row. Now this value is present inside which row? Fourth row. So I will just put index as tr4. So as soon as you put it as a 4, it is highlighting the fourth row. If you see, it is finding only one web element, that is fourth row. It is finding out entire the fourth row. If you put 3 here, it will highlight third row. If you put 2 here, it will highlight first row. It will put 1, it will highlight first row, that is inside this tbody. So we want to find out which row? Fourth row. So I will just put 4. Now it is finding the row, but we want to find out only the single value which is present inside the third column. If you see, first, third, second, and third column. So after this, I will just use one more / because, and then we will use td tag. because if you see inside the tr there are multiple tds are present. If you see this row tr tag, inside this tr actual data is present inside the td tag. So this is the first td tag, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. And which td tag we want to deal with, which td tag data we want to fetch out? Office location, that is basically third one. So if I put tr /td, it will find out all the 6 td tags from this specific row. It is finding all the 6 td data, but we want to find out only the third one, right? So I will just put td and 3. So if you see, it is highlighting only the required value. It is highlighting only the cell value which we want. So this XPath is basically for the web element which includes this value, this cell value. So I am just copying it. This is present inside the fourth row and third column. That's why we have used this XPath. So now second thing which we are seeing is printing specific row and column data. So I will just use driver dot find element by dot XPath, and we can provide the XPath value. This is basically return the web element. We want to find out text from it. Then it will return the value of the Edinburgh, and we can store it in, let's say, location. Whose location we are finding out? Office of Cedric Kelly. So I am just putting it the variable which will return that value, and after that if I want to print, we can simply use office location of Cedric is comma location Cedric. So this should print value of Edinburgh. Now let's execute this file. Let's run this file. It will launch the web browser. It will maximize the window, and from this table it should fetch this value. Now let's minimize it. If you see, total rows are 56, total columns are 6, and office location of Cedric is Edinburgh. That is giving the correct output. Now in the same example, let's say I want to also find out, if you see this example, we have found out this value. Now this time let's try to find out some another value. Now let's say I want to find out age of, whose age we want to find out? Let's say Gloria. I want to find out age of Gloria Little. How we can find it out? So that is 59, right? Age of Gloria Little is find 59. So I want to find this, or I want to print this value from this data, from this cell. So again, which approach we have to follow is which row number it is and which column it is. So if you see the row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18th row. So row number is 18th and column number is 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the same XPath, instead of 4, let's say I put tr value as 18, direct tr index is 18, and td value as, let's say, 4. Then it will highlight the age of Gloria Little. If you see, it is highlighting age of Gloria Little. So let's use this XPath. Let's go to PyCharm. I'm just using age of Gloria, one variable I have created. I can simply use driver dot find element by dot XPath, comma, and let's provide that XPath. And from this XPath we want to find out text. So it should store that value in age underscore Gloria variable, and they can simply print out print age of Gloria is comma age underscore Gloria, that is the variable which holds the value of that specific 59. Now let's again execute this file. So it will launch the web browser and then it will fetch that value that we can see on console. So if you see, age of Gloria is 59, office location, rows and columns, so everything is fetching correctly. So this is how we can, so it totally depends ki which value we want to find it out, in which row it is present and in which column it is present. We just have to change the value in this tr and td tag, index of tr and td, depending on which row and which column value we want to find out. So this is the XPath which we can use. So far we have seen how to print count of rows and columns, how to read a specific row data and column data. Now we will see the scenario where I want to print all the data from table cells. I want to print all the data. So I want to print all the data which includes name, position, office, age, start date and salary for all the employees, all the 55 rows which we have seen here, from Tiger to Shad Decker. Up to this I want to print all the values. So how we can do that? So we want to find out, so in this we will use some concept of passing the parameter to XPath. So far we have seen XPath with only static values here, but how to pass some parameter in the XPath, that we will see in this example. So please pay the attention carefully. Now let's say I want to find out all the values, so how we can do that? So again let's write some XPath for that. So we are going to see the scenario of third scenario, that is print all data from table. So in this we will be using looping statement along with parameterized XPath, where we will pass some parameter in XPath which will increase in that looping statement. So this is some new concept which we will see today. So please pay the attention. So now if you see this XPath, it is finding entire table. After finding this entire table, what I will do, our data is present inside the T body tag. So it will find out entire T body. After finding out the entire T body, I will use tr. So by default it is highlighting the first tr, first row. And if I use, so this will highlight only the first row initially. This XPath is finding out by default first row, then second row, third row, fifth row and so on. If I use index as 2, it will find out second row. If I use 4, it will find out fourth row. If I use 5, it will find out fifth row. So we want to iterate, we want to print all the data from all the rows. So first we will iterate through all the rows, and after going to first row we will iterate through all the column data as well, all the TD as well. So our flow will be like this. We will have to use 2 times for loop. In first for loop we will just iterate all the rows. So in the first iteration we will go to first row, that is let's say tr1, and after that in this tr we will iterate through all the TDs, first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. So second for loop will contain iteration of column values, that is inside this tr tag. So inside this tr there are TD tags. So what I will do, I will just use TD. So by default it will iterate through all the first row TDs. If you see tr1, which includes these 6 TDs. So I want to find out all the TDs from the first row. Then I will find out all the TDs from second row. Then I will find out all the TDs from third row, and so on. So we want to use 2 times for loops for this. And this is again, let's say TD1, it will highlight the first. Then TD2, it will highlight the second TD of the first row. If you use 3, then it will highlight the third TD of the first row, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth. So after finding the first row elements, we will move to second row, that is TR of 2. And again TD will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. After that we will go to third row. Again TR will increase to 3, and TD will start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on. So we will keep increasing the TR to 4, and then again TD from 1 to 6. So there are 2 iterations are going on. So we have to increase the row value as well, and after increasing the row, for that we have to increase TD values as well. So we want to dynamically increase that, right? So this value cannot be hard coded. Now this value cannot be hard coded. Now we will pass some variable here. We will pass some parameter here. So how we can do that is, I will just copy this XPath. Now for of now, let's put 1 and 1. So that will highlight the first element. Now I am just copying this XPath. Let's go to PyCharm. Here we have to use 2 loops. So first I will use for loop for row. So how many rows are there? If you see, total number of rows are 56, but it includes that first table header row as well. So we don't want to consider that. So what we will do is, for r in range function, I am just using range function here. For r in range, what is the first value which you want to give is 1, comma, length of, if you see, length of rows. So rows count, or we can simply use rows, right? So I'm just using length of rows. Basically these rows will give, we are in this we are finding all the rows, right? So we are finding all the rows here, but we don't want to include first, that is T body, right? So we just want to ignore the T head ones rows. So what I will do is, in this XPath, if you see, this XPath is finding all the rows, but for this row we want to ignore it. So instead of this XPath, what I will do, I will simply use T body hyphen TR. Now this is finding, or this is starting with the first row. If you see, this XPath is highlighting the first row, right? So this XPath is highlighting the first row from the T body. So I am just copying this XPath here, and instead of this XPath I am just using this XPath now. So if you see, this rows contains first row starting with T body tags, which contains the actual data, right? So if you see here, TR, if you put 1, it will find out the first row. If you put 55, it will find out exactly the last row, right? If you put 1, it will find out the first row. If you put 55, it will reach to last row. So from 1 to 55 we want to find out all the rows. So I am just copying it. We have already pasted it here, right? So this one which find out, or which will directing to all the rows, this XPath, basically these rows is this XPath highlighting to all the rows. And we are finding in range function starting with 1 to length of rows, that will return 55. This will return 55. Length of rows is 55 now. Length of rows is 55. So in range function it will start with 1, and normally in range function it excludes this value. That means it will include 55 minus 1. It will reach up to 54 only, but we want to reach up to 55. So for that we can use plus 1 here. Length of rows plus 1. We have to use length of rows plus 1. Then it will start with 1 up to 55, because total we have to start with from the first value, that is the first row. If you see this XPath, first row up to 55th row. If you put the 55 here, we want to reach from first to 55th row. So that's why we are using R in range starting with 1, length of rows plus 1, because if you only use length of rows, it will exclude the last value. That means it will start with 1 and only 54. So that we have to use plus 1. So it will reach from 1 to 55, all the 55 rows. That will be used for iteration of rows. And now after reaching to the first row, we want to iterate to 6 column values as well. So after reaching to the first row, we want to iterate to first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, total 6 TD values as well. So let's say we have reached at the first row, and then we have to iterate to all the TD values, that will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? So for that I will again use for C, that for columns in range, again column value will start with 1 and we have to find out length of columns. So columns count, right? So what is the columns count or length of columns? We can see we have already counted here, right? So for columns we don't have to change anything. We can directly use column count as well, or we can simply use len of columns, and again here also plus 1, because 1 to 6 we want to go out. If you only use length of columns, it will exclude the last value, that is it will not go up to 6, it will go only 1 to 5. That's why we are adding plus 1 here. That's why we are adding plus 1. So it will iterate to columns as well. And in this, what we want to do is we want to fetch the value, right? So I will just use data. This is the variable I have created, and we want to find out driver dot find element by dot XPath, comma, and which XPath we can use here now. So if you see TD of 1, so this XPath will find out only the first row, first column element. So far I am pasting it here, but it will find only the first row, first element, because that value is hard coded here. That value is hard coded in this XPath, but we want to find out multiple values, so its value should increase, right? So TD will go 2 in the next iteration, TD will go 3 in next iteration, 4 in next, 5 and 6, and then again TR will increase to 2, then TD will again start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then in the next iteration TR will go to 3, TD will again start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should change dynamically. So we have to pass this row value and column value. So in place of this TR1, we have to pass this row value, that is count, which will increase, and instead of this 1 we have to pass column value here. But it will not work like this. We cannot directly pass the parameter R and C inside this. There is some syntax which we have to follow. So what is the syntax here is, first we have to convert this R, that is the row value, to string format str of R. That is the syntax which we have to follow. Similarly for column also we have to use str, and then we have to convert it to string value, which we have to include in some double quotes. It is included in double quotes, and after putting double quotes we have to add plus here and plus here, and here also after double quotes we have to include plus and plus. So this is the syntax which we have to follow. This is the syntax we have to follow for parameterizing the value in the XPath. Now this XPath becomes dynamic now. So in the first iteration what will happen? So for R in range 1, so first value of R is 1. It will find out the value of R as a 1. So this value will be 1. And again the column value will start with 1 to 6. So it will iterate in the second iteration for C in range. So C value will be 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5 and 6 for the first iteration. Then it will go again and increase the R value by 1, so R will become 2. So we will reach to second row, and then it will find out TD value from starting with 1 again up to 6. So all the 6 values from the second row will be fetched, and it will again increase the R value to 3 and so on. So up to 55 row this iteration will go. It will find out one by one all the TD values from all the rows. So this is the dynamic XPath. So if you see, this is the new concept which we have learned today, how to pass the row R value and C value. So we cannot pass directly, we have to follow this syntax. We have to convert it into str format, add plus before and after it, and include them in double quotes. Include them in double quotes for row as well as column. And now we can simply print data. So we can simply print data here. So it will print all the values one by one. Now let's try to execute this file and let's see whether it actually prints all the data one by one or not. So I am just running this file now, and we can see the output on the console. So it is launching the web browser, and it is started printing the value. From this table it should print all starting to end all the values. So let's minimize it. Oh, there is some error. Now can you guess the error, what mistake we have made here? So it is actually finding all the web elements, but the mistake, I am just pausing this, I am just stopping it. So what we have done is here, if you see, it is printing all the web elements, but we don't want to print the web element, right? We want to print data. So what we have missed here is, we want to print text, right? From the web element we want to find out that text only. So now let's again execute this file. Let's run this file. Now it will launch the web browser, and let's see the console now. If you see, all the values are getting printed here. Let it completed, then we will see whether all the values are printed or not. Yeah, so now the process has ended. Now if you see the values here in the console, from here it is start, right? So age of Gloria is 59. After that it starts with tiger. This is the age, location up to salary. This is the values of first row. If you see, this is the values of first rows of the table up to the last row. Now what is the value in last row? In the console, if you see, this is for the first row value, this is for the second row, and similarly if you see up to last one is shad decor. If you see, last one is shad decor. So it is finding all the values and it is printing all the values, all the data in the console. If you want to change the formatting, let's say I want to print, now this is not that much easy to read, right? So what I want to do, I want to print in the console data, I want to print in a one line. So if I want to print for the last row in one line, so how we can do that is, it's just a formatting of the output. So here printing of data, I will just put comma end equals to, let's say I am putting one space here, and after that what I will do, I am coming outside of this loop and I am simply using print one blank space here. Now let's execute this file one more time. Now let's execute this file and let's see the output. Now I am just minimizing it, so it is fetching all the values, and if you see, now it is printing row value in one line only. So it is printing all the values one by one from all the rows. So now if you see, this is the last one, that is for shared taker, name, position, office, age, date and salary for the last row, as well as if you see, this is for first row. So we have changed the formatting, right? So we have just changed the formatting in the console. We have just added data comma end equals to one blank space, and after exiting from this for C loop, we are adding one blank space. So that will put the formatting. But most important part here we have to remember is how to parameterize the data in the XPath and what is the syntax for this. Just remember the syntax for this. We have just used two for loops for the iteration of the rows, and after iteration of rows we are iterating through all the columns, that is to find out all the TD data, table data, right? So we have used two for loops in which we have used XPath, which is parameterized, in which the value of row will increase for each iteration, value of columns will also increase. So this is the approach which we can use to print all the data from table. So it will print all the data from table that we have seen. Now the next scenario is, I am just closing this open web browsers, or we can simply use driver.close as well. So I will just use at the end driver.close. Let's close this open browser. So now we have seen how to print all the values from rows and column. Now the next is an example or next scenario which you want to cover. What is the next value? That is condition based data fetch from table. How to fetch condition based data from table. Now let's say this is the table which we are focusing. I want to find out all the employee names. I want to find out all the employee names whose office is in Tokyo. I want to find all the employee names whose office is in Tokyo. I want to print the employee names whose office is Tokyo. If you see, this is Tokyo, this is Tokyo. So this name should get printed, this name should get printed. Again, if someone is having Tokyo, then his name also should get printed. So see, this name also should printed. So I want to find out all the employee names whose office is in Tokyo. That I want to print out. So how we can do that? So again, what we have to do is here, first we want to find out or iterate all the offices. Then wherever the office address is Tokyo, we will find out name and we will print the name. So again we want to iterate through all the rows, and first we just have to iterate through office. So for that, what we can do in this XPath, if you see, first we will try to find out this office column. So how to find it out is, let's say tr, instead of td, what I will do, let's put 1 value in the start. So it is finding the first element. In td, let's put 3. So it is highlighting office of first row, right? If you put tr value as 2, it will find out office of second row. If you put 3, then office of third row, third employee. If you put 4, it will find out office of fourth employee. If you put 5th, it will find out office of 5th employee. So if you notice here, td3 remains constant. This remains constant. We have to only increase the tr values. 5th one, 4th one, 3rd one, then 2nd one. It will find out office. So td3 will remain constant. We have to increase the row values. So this XPath, if you use this XPath, and in the iteration we have to just increase the row values. So I am just copying it, or what we can do is, if you simply use tr hyphen td3, it is finding all the, if you see, it is finding all the tds of the rows. If you see, right? So we just want to increase the tr value by 1. So I am just using this XPath. Let's go to PyCharm. I am just commenting this code so for now. The fourth scenario which you want to check is I want to print names of employees having office at Tokyo. So again what we will do is we will use one for loop for I, or we can say r in range function we will use. Again we will start with 1 and we want to reach to length of rows plus 1, and in this column, in this loop, we will first find out driver dot find element by dot XPath comma, and I am just putting this XPath here. Again we want to increase the rows now because we have seen TD is constant. TD3 we don't have to increase. We just have to go through TR2 and TD3 it will find out that office for second employee. If you increase TR3 it will find out the office of third employee. So TD3 will remain constant here. We don't have to use parameterized concept here. Only the value which will increase is for TR. So row value will increase in this case. So this TD3 will remain constant. So instead of TR1 we have to pass R value here, R, and how to, what is the syntax here? We have to convert to str of R, then plus, here also plus, double quotes, and here also double quotes, and after that it will find out all the TD values for office for each row one by one in the iteration, and we have to store this value, right? So let's say I am just storing the location value. Again we missed the dot text here, so we have to find out text, right? So location will contain the text, right? That location of in every iteration. And then we can add one condition here is if, what is the condition? If location equals to Tokyo, we want to find out the employee names whose office location is Tokyo. So if the office location is Tokyo, then again what we want to do, we want to print the name. So I'm just using name variable, and how to find the name value here, if you see in the first row it is Edinburgh, in the second row it is Tokyo, so it is matching that condition. So if the value is Tokyo, we want to find out the name and we want to print the name. So in this is present in the same row. So now which value will find out? So if you see, we want to find out TD of first one, right? We want to find out TD of second one, not first. For TR, let's say for Tokyo, so Tokyo, what is the row number here? Second row, right? So if you see TR of 2, it will match the condition. So if this condition gets matched, we want to find out the name for the same row. So name is present in which row? So TD is present in first column. If you see TD of 1, so it will find out the name. So we want to find out this name. So again if you see, TD1 will remain constant. TD1 is finding out the name. Now again it will go through the next row. Here condition will not match. Third row, fourth row, condition will not match. In the fifth row again condition will match. So when we are in fifth row, again you want to find out TD of 1. So this will give the name of that employee. So in this XPath, again we want to find out driver dot find element by dot XPath comma, here if you see TD1 which will return the first column, that is the name value, TR will increase. So instead of 5 we again have to use this one because we are finding the name from the same row, right? We are finding the name from same row. So we will simply use the same concept here, but just instead of here we are checking out for office, we just whenever the condition matches, if location matches with Tokyo, then we are storing the name, we are finding the name. Again I will have to use .text. It will find out the name, right? So this XPath will basically find out the name, and we are storing that name in name variable, and we can simply print name. So it will basically, the flow will be like this. So in the first iteration it will check, it will find out the location. In the first iteration, for the first row, it will find the office location. If location is matches Tokyo, so in the first row it will not match, so it will again go and for next iteration. Whenever the location equals to Tokyo matches, it will find out the name. So this statement will find out the name for that employee. For example, for the second row it will match, so it will just find out the name of that employee, and we are storing that name into the name. It will print that name. In third iteration again it will check whether location is Tokyo. If it is not, then again it will go to next row. So whenever the Tokyo matches with the location, it will find out the name. We have used the XPath here. For XPath we have just used TD1 because name is present in first column. If you see, name is present in first column in the first TD. If you see, name is present in first TD, right? So that's why we have used this XPath. So now if you execute this, it should print all the name of the employees which are having office location as Tokyo. So let's execute this file now. So it is launching the web browser, and let's minimize it and let's see. So it has printed this value, right? If you see in the table, Garrett Winter is having Tokyo. After that, which value is there? Aries Setau also having the Tokyo. If you see this one, after that Rona Davidson should be also printed. Then Shao and Sakura. If you see, Shao and Sakura will also have Tokyo value. See, Shao and Sakura is also having Tokyo value. So this is how we can use condition based fetching of data. Now instead of, let's say, instead of Tokyo I want to find out for New York, then what change I have to make is here. So I just have to mention New York here. So it will print all the employee names whose office is New York. So let's execute this file. It will launch the web browser, and let's minimize it. And if you see the output, it is printing all the employee names. These many employee names are having value of office as New York. If you see, Paul, Gloria, Janet up to Kara. If you see the table with the New York values, you see Paul again here, Paul, Janet, Yuri, all these values, all the employee names who are having office as a Tokyo, all those value got printed here. So this is how we can use condition. Now in this, let's say I want to find out another condition. Let's say instead of printing name, I want to print salary as well. I want to print the salary of the employees along with the name whose location is New York. So I want to print salaries as well. So how we can do that? So again, what we can do here, if location equals to New York, again I will just use salary variable equal to, I will just use this statement, and we just have to change the XPath here a bit. So if you see, I want to find out salary. So salary is present in which column number? If you see, first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth TD. In sixth TD the salary will be there. In the sixth TD salary will be there. So instead of TD1 I will just have to put TD6, right? So if you put TD6, it will fetch the salary, and you can simply print instead of name, we can simply print salary as well. We just have to change the TD value here. If you use 1, it will go to name. If you use 6, it will find salary. So now let's execute this file. It is launching the web browser. Let's minimize it. So it is finding the employees whose office location is New York. It is printing the name as well as salary. If you see name and salary, name and salary. If you see, compare with table, name and salary. Ariseto or Brielle salary is New York and salary is 372,000. If you see the output here, all the outputs are also correct. So it will finding out the name as well as salary of the employees whose office is New York. So this is how we can use condition based logic. We can just use condition based logic and we can use correct XPath, and then we can find out the values like this. So this is how we can work with various scenarios, which includes Webtable. We have seen how to print count of rows and columns, reading specific row data and column data, printing all the data from table cells, and condition based data fetch from the table. So far we have seen all this for static table. In the coming session we will see about dynamic table as well. So thanks for watching this video. Kindly subscribe to my channel, share my channel if you like my video, provide any feedback or any suggestion, that is also welcome. It definitely motivates me when you like my videos or you subscribe to my channel. So please subscribe to my channel for more videos.